Liberal TV host asks Melania Trump a question that leaves the audience gasping. The lights in the studio dimmed, casting a soft glow over the glossy stage. The audience murmured quietly, shifting in their seats as the evening's guest took her place. Melania Trump, elegant, composed, and unyieldingly poised, sat across from a liberal TV host known for his biting questions and relentless pursuit of scandal. Gasps rippled through the audience. The words hung heavy in the air, sharp and deliberate. The implication was unmistakable. The host's eyes gleamed with anticipation, convinced he had cornered her into a moment she couldn't escape. The audience stirred. Something had shifted, but behind the spotlight, beyond the cameras, something else was unfolding. In the back row, a woman clutched her purse so tightly her knuckles had turned white. Her other hand gripped a worn manila folder stuffed with medical papers. Her lips quivered as if she wanted to speak, but fear held her silent. Melania noticed her. Of course she did. You see, when you ask about a child's DNA, you must consider the motives, and sometimes, there is more to the story. Her gaze swept the audience, settling on the woman in the back row. The host, desperate to regain control, chuckled dryly. "Surely, Mrs. Trump, the question is fair. The public has a right to wonder." "No, the public does not have a right to use children as political pawns." The audience erupted in applause, but Melania wasn't finished. Her attention returned to the trembling woman, and this time, her voice softened. "I believe there is someone here who deserves to be heard." The woman froze. Tears welled in her eyes as the weight of months, years of struggle bore down on her. "Mrs. Anderson, would you like to speak?" Melania called her by name, causing the woman to gasp aloud. With shaking legs, the woman rose. The folder slipped from her grasp, scattering medical bills across the studio floor. I didn't mean to cause trouble, I'm desperate." The host's smug expression faltered. "My son, he's 14 years old and already 6'4". He's growing too fast and the doctors don't know why. We've seen 17 specialists in 3 states. The genetic tests are expensive and I can't afford them." Her voice cracked as she revealed her crushing reality. "I worked 3 jobs, I sold my car. I even tried crowdfunding. Nothing is working. I asked about Barron, because I thought, maybe you understand." Silence blanketed the studio. This wasn't the scandal the host had hoped for, this was something else. Melania stood, her movements graceful and deliberate. In her hands was a thick folder of her own. "Mrs. Anderson, we did more than understand. We've been expecting you." The woman's eyes widened as Melania held up the documents. "3 months ago, when we received your question, we began our own investigation. Not to exploit you, but to help." The audience watched in stunned silence as Melania revealed the truth. "Your son's medical bills total $147,800. As of this morning, the Trump Foundation has paid them, in full." Mrs. Anderson collapsed into her seat, sobbing with disbelief. But Melania wasn't done. "We also found 30 other families facing the same struggles, and we will cover their medical expenses too." The host, pale and speechless, fumbled for a response. "But, the DNA test?" "Yes, let's talk about DNA. My husband is 6'3". I was a model. Barron's height is no mystery. But his compassion? That he learned from his father." A murmur of approval swept the room, and then, the final blow. The studio screens lit up with a live video feed. There, smiling warmly, was Barron Trump himself. "Hey, Tommy, I heard you're part of the Tall Kids Club too. You're not alone, buddy, we've got your back." The audience erupted in cheers. The host, his attempt to create scandal had crumbled into dust, and as Melania returned to her seat, her message was clear. "If you wish to question our family, do so, but never question our commitment to helping others." The show ended, but the story didn't. In the weeks that followed, the Trump Foundation expanded its support network, providing critical medical care to families across 3 states. What began as a trap had become a beacon of hope. And to this day, that liberal TV host's career has never recovered. Because when you try to weaponize compassion, you might just reveal who the real villain is. If you want to hear more stories they don't want you to know, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. The truth always comes out.